Here we go.
All right, let's do it. Lucy,
I know.
what's up? How are you?
Not much, actually. Life's a bit boring.
Oh, God. I would switch places with you. I gave Baggy a gigantic bone so that she would be a good girl while we were walking.
Look at her. She's so cute.
She was getting sassy on me.
At least it's not sitting on the carpet behind you, just in the middle of nowhere, next to some dirty socks or whatever.
That's like behind my right shoulder, actually, but that's okay. That's normally is what you see. I'm unabashedly going to be reading that today.
That's okay.
And first of all, I hope I don't get in trouble for copyright infringement, because I'm pretty sure this is actually directly what you're not supposed to do. But can I just tell you, I am this author's biggest fan in the whole universe.
Oh, I love that book.
This was this was the first real fairy book that I ever purchased. I think I purchased it right before our retreat in 2019.
That's not the one that you got me to read out, was it?
Yes. Oh, no, it wasn't. But I got the other one at the same time. I know what you're talking about.
So when we were for those people that haven't got a clue what we're talking about, when we went to our art retreat in 2019, Karen thought it would be funny to get me to read out fairy stories with my Scottish accent. Like I had to sit on the floor surrounded by everybody.
And I I lied. And you were like, is your camera on? I was like, no.
And she videoed me.
And then I was like, full on video.
And put it on YouTube, I think, or somewhere.
I didn't, because you got mad.
And I was triggered, Karen. Do you know why I was triggered? Because I hate the word triggered, actually. I hate it.
It's like a kid's word.
Yeah. It's like such a, I know, I wasn't really triggered. That was the wrong word. I just said it because I find that word kind of hilarious.
Triggering. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like everybody's triggered by something these days, but don't come for me if you're triggered by my saying that everybody's triggered.
Oh my God. Tell me.
It just harkened back to the days of yore, when I was in college in the States.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
And I was an oddity because of my Scottish accent. And one of my friends had sent me over a copy of Trainspotting, the novel. Mm-hmm. And I think it was when Trainspotting hadn't been out that long, or maybe the film had just been made. It was like quite a big thing. And my college friends in the States did that to me as well. They were like, you know, I was like the party piece at parties. Could you read us a chapter of Trainspotting with your cute, quaint Scottish accent so we can all laugh at you in a kind of an endearing way?
I know. We just want to hear it out of love. We're not making fun of you. It's just such a rarity. And and it's so funny, back before we really started talking, like every day as we do, our really, really good friends here that live like in our neighborhood are Irish, but like from Ireland, Irish. And our friend Simon is from Northern Ireland, and his wife, Debbie, my good friend, is from Ireland. And, forever I actually, and I'm embarrassed to say this now, but I actually couldn't differentiate. This is so embarrassing because I totally can now, between an Irish accent and the Scottish accent. Was just
that happens a lot. It's okay.
Just was like beautiful and amazing. But now I find it so interesting because I'm so used to hearing them, and I'm so used to hearing you, that I'm like, how did I ever even get them confused? Like now I so distinctly understand and can hear all the nuances. But when it is new, when you're not used to hearing it as an American, it just sounds fucking awesome.
It's just the number of times people say, you have an accent. I don't have an accent.
It's just like musical and beautiful sounding.
I don't think that, personally speaking, I would love it if people corrected me on this, but personally speaking, I don't think that I have a nice Scottish accent.
Why?
Because I love a Highland accent. I love a West Coast accent. All those people that come from places like Lewis, those sing-songy Scottish accents, they are such gorgeous accents. Even Orkney and Shetland accents are so nice as well. They're kind of a little bit stranger, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Now I need to go onto YouTube and listen to clips.
I know, but a Northeast Scotland accent is, to me, not the most beautiful of Scottish accents. but maybe that's just because I'm surrounded by it. I also don't have a super strong accent.
Where did you grow up? Which area did you grow up?
In Aberdeenshire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but because I traveled so much, my accent dulled itself down.
Traveled as well.
It kind of simplified itself out because otherwise people wouldn't understand me. And actually, I lived in Australia for a year when I was a kid, and I had an Australian accent when I lived there.
Oh my gosh, that is something I can't fake an accent. I can't not
well,
with Max.
I didn't fake it. Just
do it. No, but I mean, I can't even.
I know we need to make one word. Think of a good phrase for Max to say.
Yes, you do.
But I lost that as soon as I came back to Scotland, and then when I went to college in the States, believe it or not, I actually picked up an American accent.
That would be. Can you do one now? You can't talk about all these accents and then not give me something.
Well, the thing is that I can't do it if I'm not one of those people that can think of an accent and try to do it. It just happened so gradually that I didn't even notice it was happening.
I want to hear an accent. Give me an accent. Just pick one and give it to me. Do it.
I can't do it.
Do a Scottish one.
I have got a Scottish accent. What are you talking about?
You just told me there are all these other ones within Scotland. Bust me out another one. Come on, please.
Oh my God, the pressure.
Do it.
I can't put on another Scottish accent.
Yes, you can. Give me one from your childhood. You said it was very much more pronounced than now. So
I don't think it was ever. I don't think my accent was ever hugely pronounced because my dad was from England. So
what did you just say?
I know it's like sacrilege, isn't it?
That is, don't ever say that.
No. And did we try and suppress that side of the family?
It's okay. I have English in me too, but I just embrace my German. So no.
But I mean, there are people with stronger accents in my area. There's all these farmer types.
What do they sound like?
Strong.
What do they sound like then? I don't really understand. You're going to have to give me an example. Because really, without an example, this conversation is lame.
You guys listening to this, you don't realize that the thing that I hate the most is being put under pressure. Damn it.
All right, I'm sorry.
You never know.
I wish Max was here. He would never say anything.
What you need to do is pretend like this conversation didn't happen, move on. And then you never know that I might burst into something unexpectedly when you least expect it.
Okay.
I can't actually think of a good phrase. It was like last week when you were speaking about Max. I couldn't think of a good phrase. That I need to think of a good phrase for him that covers all the bases.
There's a lot of R's in it and like a loch.
No, a really well-known but cheesy Scottish phrase would be, it's a bra bricht moonlicht nicht de nicht. Do you know what that means?
No. It just sounds like you're clearing.
Take a guess.
Say it again.
It's a bra bricht moonlicht nicht de nicht.
It's something about a night.
Yeah, nearly.
Nearly. Say it one more time.
It's a bra bricht moonlicht nicht de nicht.
It's a beautiful moonlit night tonight.
Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
Pulled that right out of my keister. Yes.
You could get Max to say that.
Okay. I'll give
That's
him
the kind of thing
that
you'd imagine like older people maybe in Scotland saying if they were going to say something really Scottish.
And romantic. Oh, it's so pretty.
That covers all the R's in the sounds
all day long.
That sounds really horrible down the microphone.
Hucking a loogie. That's what you would say in the US.
Hucking a loogie?
You say that in Scotland?
No.
Huck a loog. Huck a loogie.
No.
That's when you're like trying to like whip up some spit. You huck a loogie. That's
gobbing.
That's what the word is. Gobbing.
Gobbing.
I love that every episode we find one bizarre, like off language thing that we never knew. It's like never fails. It's so cute.
Huckaloogie sounds so Hollywood to me. I feel like somebody in Greece would be saying it. I'm gonna huckaloogie.
Oh, really? I don't know where that came from. I feel like my kids don't say that. Was like something we said growing up.
Yeah, just
like
imagine
that was like
people
cool, like
in
teenagers to be like,
hold
on, I got a huckaloogie. Like, and you're like, whatever. Why you would be doing that? I don't know.
What does huckaloogie even mean?
Like a loogie's like that sound.
don't know. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I didn't make it up. I just say it. We have to talk about this book, though.
I know. What's the name of the book for those that aren't watching us on YouTube but listening to us and don't have a visual on the book?
This is called Scottish Herbs and Fairy Lore. Actually, real quick about language. Do you say herbs?
Herbs.
Yeah, we say.
And if you're like my mom, there's like a certain kind of maybe generation of Northeast Scottish people who wouldn't even say herbs. They call an H and I can't even do it. An H.
Oh yeah.
H.
Yeah.
H. That's, it's even worse. She'll say the H. I'm like, what's that? What the hell's that? The H. What's that? An H? An H.
I don't know why that's so funny to you with that. Actually, it's so funny. A hitch.
Yeah,
that's weird. No H. And why is the H silent when you hop the pond? Like, what happens to it? Why don't we say it? I have
no idea what happened when you all hopped the pond and went over there.
We're like, no kibosh on the H's. Scottish herbs. Does it sound weird that I'm not saying the H then?
No, because I'm used to American accents.
Weirdos.
Weirdos.
Scottish Herbs and Fairy Lore is by Ellen Everett Hopman. This book, every word in this book is gold. It's
such a good one.
It's such a good book. And I honestly can't believe that I scored the best book like right out the gate. Because normally it takes you like, like you buy one and you're like, no, that's not good enough. Oh, what's this one? What's that one? Which I'm still doing. But it's so funny now that I have this giant collection of fairy lore books. I keep coming back to this one. And every time I come back, not that the other ones I have aren't so good, but this one is it just shines its light even brighter. It cuts right to the point. It's like right to the best stuff, You're like, just tell me about the fairies. She doesn't beat around the bush. It's just exactly all the things. It's like all the magic, all the terms, all the things. Like, I'm like, how does she know all this stuff? It's literally everything. She talks about everything.
When was it written again?
I think it was published in 2010.
Okay, so it's not that old.
So I know I should not be reading this on a podcast, but maybe if I like just tell the whole world how awesome it is, and I just hope she knows that I love her, and I just want to spread the word that her book is amazing. The facts are amazing.
Let's face it, I do not think that you are going to be the first podcaster in history
to read from a book.
Read something off of a book.
Well, yeah. I'm coming from a place.
I think as long as you credit, you're fine.
Pure love. The stuff in here is amazing, and there's so much more than what we're going to be talking about today in it. Just to make that clear, this is not a book just about. Even though it's called Scottish Herbs and Fairy Lore, it's much more like all things fairy, not and the herbs and the flowers are just actually a slim part of all the other things. So if you hadn't gleaned the crux of today's episode, we are talking about actual Scottish herbs, but also mostly the lore surrounding
I'm so
them.
Excited for this. I love this subject.
I really do too. And this for me originated back when we were prepping for our art retreat. And in case this is your first time listening, Lucy and I are artists. In 2019, we rented Ward Hill Castle, which is in Aberdeenshire. It's owned by the Leslie family. And we did art and drank and ate and had an amazing
ghosts
and had lots of ghosts. And Lucy kidnapped us to stone circles that were literally magical. And part of the lesson that I taught, we were teaching different lessons. And what I was teaching, because watercolors are really easy to travel with since they're small and compact. So I was teaching, I thought it would be really neat to incorporate some watercolor botanicals. And I was thinking, so that's what initiated my whole search. I was like, okay, well, because botanicals are on the easier side of painting. And so then I started to say, I was just thinking, and I didn't even know, I was like, I wonder if there's any sort of like magic associated with any of these plants. And that's when I started researching, and that's when I bought this book, and like, come to find out, there is tons of lore associated with tons of, you know, plants and trees, and kind of, it's almost like everything that's growing naturally, someone kind of drummed up an excuse to have some sort of magical thing associated with it. Which, if you think of a land before TVs and YouTube and podcasts and like anything,
you have to keep yourself occupied.
That's all you're looking at all day,
especially after you'd already had your 12 children.
Yeah, right. You're literally like just weeping in a meadow. Your life sucks. And you're looking at the apple that fell from the tree. So I rather than researching and transferring my notes to another notebook in which I read, which is what I normally do, I'm actually just going to read straight up from this book, because like I said, brilliant. Ellen, she doesn't mince words. She just is right out with it. Now, what I love about the format of the way she teaches and talks about the plants is that she has a picture of each one. It's like a little dictionary within this book. She has the name. She has usually like the Linnaean name, if there is one, or the Latin name. Sorry, it's my anthropology major coming out.
I was going to say, what?
The Linnaean name is just me in Latin. That's like the scientific like classification.
Go and say that again, because
Linnaean.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. When I was, I studied anthropology. I did like a paleoanthropological program in Kenya. And as part of our education, it was like a field school. So as a part of our education, every time we saw an animal in the wild, and we were like a safari for 3 months, basically.
Oh my God.
We had to learn the Linnaean name for every single animal that we saw.
Wow.
And we had to write it down. Yep. So it was like everything, every like baboon and tiger. Or not, there's no tigers.
So what is the Linnaean name for a lion?
Idea. I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Like
what is it, Karen? What is it?
Like a million years ago.
Well, you hassled me about accents, so I'm just trying to get you back here. You do realize.
I literally remember zero of those names. So she has the name, and then she has, for every single one, the I would just say like the holistic medicinal use of that, of said thing. But, you know, to me, it's like, you don't even, and that's another thing too, is like, there is a purpose for these two as well. It's not just lore. They all have like a dual role. There's like the medicinal use, and then there's the lore behind it, which both are really is equally interesting, really. Yeah. Because who uses an apple other than just for a snack these days? You know what I mean? Like,
I have to say that I love, I wish I knew more about it. It is one thing that I want to spend some time really studying, but I do love doing a little bit of foraging and picking herbs and making them into things and brewing up potions in my kitchen and bottling tinctures.
Weirdo. No, I'm just kidding. It reminds me of being a child, actually, like just pretending you have your little like mortise and pestle, or
I made a huge amount of elderberry tonic last year, because it is supposed to be really good for your immune system. So obviously, with loads of horrible illnesses going around last year, it was quite nice to do, and it tastes delicious. You can actually just add it to water. It makes a really nice drink. But I did feel a little bit like a kitchen witch. My son came downstairs and rolled his eyes at me because I was standing over the cauldron, you know, like stirring this thing that was like thick and gloopy and red, and there was a red dye, the dye from it going all over the place, and then I was having to squeeze it through a muslin bag,
like cheesecloth or something.
You're
like Jiminy Toadstool.
I had my pointy hat on.
Hand me my broomstick. I need to run out.
I love that kind of thing. So
funny. No, I do too. And I don't think and even though the actual organic, like holistic uses of these are equally fascinating, because there's so many, I'm not going to be focusing on that. I'm going to go right to the lore because that's just cooler.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we want to hear.
Okay, so
especially if we've got any that can protect us against the unseelie fairies. That would be particularly good.
There's a lot. So Apple, we're going to go alphabetically. So thanks, Ellen.
Oh my God, are you going to read the whole book?
Maybe.
Okay, see you all in 10 hours.
Which would be the normal length of our normal podcast. So Apple. Apples are associated with Avalon, which Avalon in some language means apple land. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so there you go. Apple straight out the gate. So it's associated with Avalon and the Celtic underworld. An apple branch alone can take you to the land of fairy. Did you know that?
Really?
Yep.
How?
It tells you to encounter fairies. That's what I mean. She doesn't mess around. She gets right to it. To encounter fairies, this is exactly what you do. You sleep under an apple tree at noon on Midsummer's Day.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to try that though. Yeah. I don't really want to go to fairyland.
But don't you appreciate that about her though? Like she doesn't mess around. She's like, oh, it's not. Most books are like, la, 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 la. And she's like, nope, here you go. She's like, this time, this place, you're gonna go here. I'm like, I appreciate
turn left at the first exit.
That's what I mean. Her whole book is like that. So satisfying. She just gives you the answers. Like I'm all about it.
So drop the pin on the map.
And there's a little apple divination with this as well. So if you cut an apple, I wish I had an apple with me. If I had a kid around, I would make them go get me one.
Is it going to tell me who I'm going to marry?
Well, hang on. She tells you. You cut an apple in half and you're going to look at the seeds. If they are whole, it means good luck. If one seed is damaged, Lucy, I'm afraid it means trouble.
Oh, no.
If more than one is cut, it means severe misfortune.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. Just let's not bother, because if you cut it open and you've got lots of damaged seeds, then you're just going to spend the rest of the day worrying about what's going to happen. And then you could possibly just bring that misfortune upon yourself by.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool about the sit on an apple tree at noon on Midsummer's Day. Do you guys have a lot of, I would think that Scotland would be good climate for apple trees. Do you guys have a lot of apples there?
Yeah, I would say there's not a whole lot just growing in the wild.
Do you have orchards?
But people do have them in their gardens. Some people. Yeah.
Do you have apple orchards? Like, where do you get an apple and where does Scotland get their apples from?
Tesco's, Aldi's.
Well, like in the US, most of them are grown in the Northeast or the Northwest.
We probably do. I would say they're maybe further down south, maybe in England. I'm not sure.
Okay. I just didn't know.
Yeah. I have to say, it's not like I drive around and see apple orchards. So if there are some, they're not in this area. They must be somewhere else.
It's a simple question, Lucy.
I know. I gave you perfectly.
Just kidding. I'm full of sass today. I'm so sorry.
Nice comprehensive answer.
All right, you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
All right, this is Ash. Now I'm sure
we're still on E.
Yeah. There's only 2, and we're going to cover both. Don't worry. There's some letters we skip entirely. All right, so Ash, as you know, is it? As you know, and then I'm like, wait, what is it? It's in a tree, isn't it? It's an ash tree.
It's a tree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when a child was born in the Highlands, the midwife would place a green ash stick in the fire. She collected the sap as it came out at the ends, preferably in a silver spoon, and fed a cooled spoonful to the newborn as its first food.
Oh my goodness.
I know. The only thing is she doesn't say why, but I know that I was last night reading from Catherine Briggs' book, and she does say why, but unfortunately I didn't write it down. But I think it's to like ward off evil spirits. It's for protection. For sure.
And is that where the phrase "born with a silver spoon in your mouth" comes from?
It is totally related to that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's also one of the 9 sacred woods of the Druids, who used to use it for making healing wands.
Oh,
and that to me just sounds like Harry Potter
inside.
Yeah, I know, right? With their little wands. But already it's like setting the mood for like all these fun.
Yeah.
Fun. So the bindweed.
I can't imagine. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry to interrupt. I just can't imagine that sap from an ash tree would be particularly good for a newborn baby to be eating.
Well, you also were supposed to put changeling babies in a fire.
I know.
So there's a lot of things that I would question. Just saying.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of bindweed or
bindweed?
Bindweed.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I don't particularly know.
The flowers are really beautiful. They're picked on Beltane morning and woven into a wreath, and that averts evil.
Now that would be quite a good one to try. I wonder if there's any near me.
Just this little thing. It's a really, really pretty flower. How about this one, Birch, which we all know what a birch tree is, right?
Yeah, we've got loads of them near here.
If you plant a birch tree in the graveyard, it will help to guard the dead. That's pretty powerful. And if you place a rod of birch in the child's cradle or in the coffin, it becomes a protective charm.
So it's got protective powers.
And a lot of these plants, it's all about protecting them and like warding off evil and protecting them from evil spirits. And so there's obviously a lot of fear associated and things to little lucky charms that are like they become tokens to ward off and protect people, which I think is
I do agree that for me trees have that I can get that sense from trees actually.
They're so old
without wanting to sound like a complete tree hugger
person.
Well, it's okay.
Be a tree hugger. That's a good thing to be.
I don't mind. I'm gonna embrace my weirdo hippiness. I do feel that there's that, if you walk through a forest, you get that feeling like that trees they do give off a sense of something, don't they?
Well, I have to say it depends on the forest. Where you are, yes. Where I am, all I think about is snakes the whole time I'm in the woods.
Oh, okay.
But where you are, for sure. Do you remember the forest that's on the when you're driving to Ward Hill Castle on the left-hand side of the road, and that cottage is right in front of you? And every time we drove by it, we were like, we need to go in. Like the fairies are calling me. They are in there.
That was an amazing forest.
Unlike any that had like a whole atmosphere in there that you could just sense that from a distance. Remember that? We were like drawn. We were like, we need to go.
That was a beautiful.
There.
I feel like that about a lot of forests, and it's funny because I think that in the past, forests in the days before pre-electricity and the artificial light and the element of safety that comes, that feeling of safety that comes with that. I mean, we're very sheltered now in our houses with locks on the doors and light that we can see outside and street light, and we can see somebody coming down the street and all of those things. But in the days before that, I think forests for a lot of people were very frightening places because you can't see what's lurking in there. You can't see what's behind the trees. There could be animals that are ready to pounce out and hurt you.
There's so little, there's so few scary animals in Scotland. You don't have big, where I am, I won't even walk through the forest in the summer because the spiders are like evil and awful and huge. The snakes are poisonous, and the ones that are not poisonous are like 7 feet long. But you go to Scotland.
Oh my God, I'm not coming to your house now you've said that.
Don't come to me. I wouldn't come here either when I didn't really have like fire ants that are in the grass that will like kill you alive. I mean, so I
got poison ivy there.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So what I love about Scotland, yet number 9,841 is that you don't have any of that. So you can literally like
tame country.
You can like ramps through the forest, probably with no shoes on, and find like squishy ground to lay on. And like, there aren't these big, scary predator things. There's nothing poisonous. You have what? An adder? There's like one snake.
I have never seen an adder in my entire life.
Right.
So there are adders. They're not that common. What we do have now, I think the worst thing that we have now that didn't really exist when I was younger as much are ticks with Lyme disease in them.
Yeah, we have those too. I think
but
those are worldwide.
Saying that, we don't have the tick and Lyme disease issue that, for example, like Connecticut has.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of places.
I worked at a festival in Connecticut, and it was tick. It wasn't Connecticut. It was upstate New York, and it was tick central.
Yeah.
And the ticks were awful in that place. I woke up with a tick in the corner of my eye. Like right there. Yeah. Some guy woke up with a tick in his unmentionables.
I know, my son had one on his unmentionable when he was like 4. It was so bad.
But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, you're gonna say no. Ticks don't gross me out for some reason, and I know actually a couple people. I know that Lyme disease is what scares the crap out of me, not the ticks themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is that the tick crawling on your leg, or even the tick going in your skin, isn't as terrifying as a huge big snake that's poisonous or poisonous spiders. Can you imagine living in Australia? But I have a funny tick story. Actually, do you want to hear it?
Okay, we're only on B. We just got to B. So do your funny tick story, and then we got to get to Bog Violet because we have the whole alphabet to do. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was living in the States, I got bit by a tick, and it was one of the tiny ones, those super tiny ones.
The deer ticks. Yeah.
And they're the ones with the Lyme disease. Yes. And I was with one of my friends in Philly, and we were on one side of Philly, and we were getting the train back to her house at the other side of Philly.
You had the best memory ever.
And she said, well, rather than just going back to my house, let's get off at this station because there's a hospital that's like the university hospital.
Oh, you told me this story before.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And we'll just get the doctor to like take the tick out carefully.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. And this was like a Saturday night at 11 o'clock or something. And
you were like, went to the hood.
So we got off the train. And literally the minute we stepped off the train, she went, uh-oh. And I was like, what? And she went, we got off at the wrong stop.
Oh,
we're not in the right place in Philly. Like, we're in a place in Philly that you don't want to be. And we're like, well, there's nothing for it. We're gonna have to walk to the hospital now. So we walked to the hospital through like a super dodgy part of Philly, which I'm sure if you're American feels dodgy, but for a Scottish person that comes from the middle of nowhere like me, I was a little bit
dodgy. Yeah.
And we got to this hospital, and we went through the metal detectors that detected anyone who had a gun,
which is saying something because that was in 1990 something.
Yeah.
So that's a rough neighborhood because those metal detectors didn't come into vogue until like 9/11. Well, so if that was pre 9/11 and you were going through a metal detector, like that's like you're in the hood.
We were in the hood. We were in the hood in
Philly. It's like Compton of Philly. That's terrifying. Yeah.
And so we walked through the metal detectors with the security guards on the gate of the.
And this is a hospital.
Like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and the waiting room was full of like gang members and wailing women. There was this woman who was like crying her eyes out because somebody had just walked into her house and shot her husband in front of her. And here was me and my friend Shira sitting with a tick on my knee. We felt like the biggest idiots in the world. When the doctor called me through and we had to say why we were here, we were like, could you take this tick out, please?
Oh my God. I would have been like, give me that tick.
He was like, what are you doing here? We're like, we got off the wrong train. So he took the tick out. He put it in a little jar for a keepsake for me.
I'm sure he did.
And he said, don't leave the hospital. Get somebody to come and collect you, please.
You're going to die and have to come right back.
We phoned her mom, who refused to come and collect us.
Oh my God, because where you were was so bad. She was
like, I'm not coming collect us.
Oh my God.
And then one of her friends decided he was going to come and collect us. So we had to like wait at the door of the hospital because we felt like these two absolute idiots.
Okay, I don't want to I don't want to go on another tangent, but I have to, because you're talking about bugs and emergency rooms, and I have a story I have to tell you.
I want to hear it.
Okay.
Our tangents are the best anyway, so
well,
it's okay.
You got to go with the flow. So Billy, my middle son, who's now 15, when he was, I think he was 6, he got bit by a black widow spider.
My goodness.
Yeah, he was rolling.
Didn't you get them in the States?
We get everything in this stupid state that I live in. Yeah, they're very rare, and they can freaking kill you. So he was like rolling around like in his underwear, as you do when you have little boys, and he stood up and he had like a full body rash, like head to toe. Like he just was like all of a sudden was like modeled 1,000 colors. And I was like,
my goodness,
the hell is wrong with you? And this was during a period where, I'm not even kidding you. So Max, who's 12, he has had, I don't know, like 4 broken bones. He's been we were in the emergency room like every 3 months, pretty much for
boys are like that
4 years in a row. So this was just like, and I knew all the doctors' names in the emergency room, like staff, like I'm not even joking. And so he stands up, he's like literally head to toe, and we're like, what the hell is wrong with you? I look on the carpet, and literally like walking across the floor is a black widow spider. And I was
how did you know? You know what they look like?
They are crazy. Like they don't look real. Their bodies are like nature's perfection. They're like this beautiful glossy black, and then the red mark is like somebody took a paint pen or like nail polish and drew like the most perfect circle. I mean, they look unreal. They don't look like any other spider. They're undeniable, and their legs are like beautiful.
So at least there's no question there. At least you know exactly. You're not having to like trap it with a glass and take it to the emergency room with you for diagnosis.
I did though, because I didn't think that anybody would believe us, because it was like crazy. Plus I was like, it's one thing to say like, it was right in the middle of our living room floor. So we put it in
you'll never sleep.
We took it in a Ziploc baggie with my son at 11 o'clock at night, and we went to the emergency room, and oh my God, it was so funny. So they were like checking us in, and I was like, yeah, I think my son got bit by this black widow spider, because he's like, look at him, like modeled what is going on. I'm like, I'm sure it's just this. And I handed them the baggie. Instead of taking my son in, they took the spider back to show the whole staff, because it was like so crazy. They're like, can we just have this for a minute? And I'm like, sure. They just went around. All the nurses came out. The doctor came out, and they were like, whoa, he was this like scientific, like, because if you get bit by a black widow spider, it like fucks you up. So they gave him like a shot of prednisone. They like took care of him, but they were like, there is some crazy reason why he is not, like he should be really messed up. The ER doctor said in one case, he's had one other case in 20 years of treating someone who's been bit by a black widow spider. He like pulled me over. He was like, look, I'm not sure, but he's like, this can be really bad. He's like, the guy that I treated, in 20 years, like it causes your internal muscles and organs to contract involuntarily. So like against your will. And he said, it's extraordinarily painful. And so he's like, when and I don't know why, it was just so crazy, evidently, that I was there with a spider and my child. So he felt the need to like be sharing this with me, because normally I think that just scares the crap out of the poor mom, right? But like Billy was clearly fine. So he was like, yeah.
So they have an antidote to it?
No, they don't. And he's like, basically all we can do is just keep them comfortable. They keep them like sedated and like filled with pain meds. And then they just ride it out while the venom like courses through. But he said it's so extraordinarily painful. And I was like, what? And they're like, he's like, the only thing I can think of is that he just got nicked and didn't get bit.
I'm terrified.
Isn't that crazy? I know. And then like 2 years later, there was another one on the outside of my bedroom window. And
I'm never coming to America ever again.
Took like the spider spray and was like, and just like zapped it through the window. I was like, why do I keep seeing black widow spiders? I know. Isn't that crazy though? Sorry, I had to bring that up.
That terrifies me.
I know. For some reason, I'm still not scared of spiders. Snakes are a whole entire different conversation.
I'm not scared of spiders here because none of them can kill you.
Venom.
I'm scared of the spiders that can kill you.
Well, that's why I don't go into the North Carolina woods, because like the shit out there is bad news. I don't want anything of it. But in Scotland, it's just fairies. So it's like, fine.
Well, yeah.
You ready to get back to B? We've only done 2, Lucy. That's terrible.
Yeah. We have been known to go
all right. At least Ginger is hanging out with us still. We got one. Ginger
commenting on my hair. It's like, why are you slagging off my ginger hair?
Oh no. Ginger, Brian, our friend and fan.
Hi, Ginger.
All right, I'm going to talk about the Bog Violet next because it's actually super, super cool. And there's a lot of powerful things about the Bog Violet, which is also known as butterwort, which is also known as marsh violet.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have, I think they're super common.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the most magical of Highland plants, actually.
Wow.
And it's worn in a golden amulet or as a charm to ward off, as you do, evil and misfortune, including very specific things like unrequited love, starvation, drowning, and the loss of a court case.
Really? That's brilliant. So next time I have to go to court for...
Where's my Bog Violet?
I'm going to take my Bog Violet in a little necklace.
And then there's more. It gets so much better. To make a love spell, do these things.
Oh, I need that. Come on, give me all the love spells.
Okay, first of all, you need to get down on your left knee and gather 9 roots. And then you're going to knot them together to make a ring. The woman then puts the ring into the mouth of a girl who is seeking a lover. So I'll make it and I'll put it into your mouth because I have a lover.
Okay.
In the name of
kind of gross.
In the name of the sun, moon.
I'd be prepared.
I won't touch you.
I'll just like
toss it in.
Okay.
And then I would, in the name of the sun, moon, and stars, and of the 3 worlds. When the girl meets the man she desired, she places the ring into her mouth, and should the man kiss her while the ring is in her mouth, he will be bound to her forever. However, this is a big however, Lucy. Are you listening?
Oh, there's always a however.
When it comes to Scotland, there is. This kind of love spell does not guarantee happiness because just because a person is bound does not mean that they will love you or even like you, it says.
Oh, what's the point then?
Like every marriage, you're bound, but it doesn't mean
I don't want to be bound to somebody who doesn't like me.
Well, then don't do the love spell because it doesn't guarantee you anything.
Okay, actually, but that is very typical for a lot of witchcraft type love spells. Yeah. Where they always come with a bit of a caution.
Yeah.
In that, like, it's not always not that I've studied love spells in depth. I'm clearly lies.
You're an expert.
If I was an expert, I wouldn't still be single, would I?
That's true.
But they always come with a bit of a caution in that you shouldn't really try to bend the will of another person because that isn't actually good magic.
There is quite a bit of those, like, i.e. when magic is involved, it's kind of not good when it comes to like matters of the heart.
Yeah.
It's like best to leave those alone. But we're not even done with the Bog Violet magicness.
Really?
There's more.
Okay.
If it's under
a multi-use.
Yeah, this one is a big one.
It's like those herbs that you get nowadays where it'll say can cure and it has like a list of 100 different things.
Yes. Oh, actually I haven't seen those. Okay. I just see the drugs with the warnings of all the things that actually bad side effects it will give you. So it can be put under a woman in labor to ensure safe delivery and is carried by travelers as protection and can be secretly sewn into your clothing. Women are supposed to sew it into their bodice and men put it under not their right, but their left arm.
So specific.
Really matters. You know what that was? Is that some guy put it under his left arm and he got lucky, like he escaped an accident or like a close call. And he was like, oh, it must have been the Bog Violet that like fell into my coat when I was putting it on. And then they're like, spread the word. It's got to be the left side.
Maybe it's like a medieval form of deodorant. And he was like, I'll put it under my arm and it'll make it smell nice. And then, yeah.
I feel like this is a little stronger than deodorant. It's like saving your life and like ensuring a safe delivery of your baby. But there's more, unbelievably. If you feed the herb to an animal like a goat or a cow, and then you drink its milk, you can gain magical protection.
Oh, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah, but there's more. Place it under the churn or milk pail to prevent fairies and sorcerers from stealing the milk. So there's so much, and I'm not even done. If you weave a hoop of it plus butterwort, which is butterwort. Oh, if you weave a hoop of milkwort and this bog violet, which is also known as butterwort, and dandelion and marigolds.
Ooh.
If you have that specific combination and you bind it with 3 threads made from fairy flax, it gives the Latin name there, which I don't know what that is, and place it under the milk bucket, it will stop ill-intentioned witches and sorcerers from stealing or spoiling the milk. That is
seems like a really super complicated thing. Seriously. Just to stop them from spoiling your milk. Can't you just
like pop it in the fridge? It would be way faster than like making a wreath.
Finding 4 different plants. Making a wreath.
It must have been a huge issue that they had to come up with this giant
had a problem with milk, obviously.
But are you even surprised that it's this complicated, crazy thing though?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Me neither. All right, here's a really quick one. The bog myrtle, otherwise known as bayberry. This one is actually the totem herb of the Campbells, like me, and it is said to repel evil fairies. So,
did you say blaeberry?
Bayberry.
Oh, bayberry. Okay.
So I didn't realize that the clans have their own magical herb.
I didn't realize either.
Although that makes sense. Finally, here's a quick fun one. Buttercup, as we all know what a buttercup is. That the buttercups are worn in a bag. Which conjures up not really feminine, pretty images in my head of what you're wearing. You're wearing a bag of buttercups, but it cures madness. So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many do you need to use?
I know, right? You don't need to go to
like a shopping bag size,
just
or
wear
like
this
a
bag
pouch.
Of buttercups, and you're good. It's just so easy.
I have no words.
But did you know?
No words for that.
Did you know that they're poisonous too? I didn't know.
Buttercups?
Yeah. I know Ellen. She is a wonder. You tell
her,
Maggie.
That's crazy because the number of kids, myself included, who put buttercups under your chin to see if you like butter.
Yes.
So it's coming a bit close to your mouth if it's poisonous there.
Yeah, it really is. Hold on. Oh, I just made like this crazy face. All right. Sorry for that interruption. Kids coming home. I don't remember where we were. So let's jump off with elder, which we were just talking about earlier.
Oh,
right? Elderberry.
I love elders. I love elderberries. And elderflower makes the nicest wine. Yeah.
It makes good gin. It mixes with good gin.
I can't wait until it's I don't think the flowers are quite out here yet. Or I hope I've not missed them, but yeah, I wanted to go and pick some elderflowers.
There's a lot of uses for like the roots, bark, shoots, leaves, flowers, fruits. There's a ton of different uses for them, but I'm cutting right to the good stuff.
Okay, go for it.
So elder has a protective female spirit that will protect you. Yeah, it protects you against sorcery as long as profound respect is shown to the plant.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't really know.
So do you have to ask permission?
Yeah, you're like, I am so sorry. I have to cut you down. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Maybe you just have to, I quite like speaking to plants. Maybe you just have to say thank you when you take the berries off the trees, or
yeah, maybe she will this one has a lot of good stuff in it. I'll just keep reading for a minute. It is very bad luck to cut down an elder tree or to burn her wood. I love how it's her wood. I love that. Use only twigs, leaves, and berries or a small section of her root, and be sure to thank the elder mother when you take any part of her dwelling. So there you go. Of course, Ellen would tell you. She's not going to leave you hanging with that information.
No, you don't want to get into trouble with the elder tree.
No. Whip handles for hearse drivers were once made of elder to guard against ghosts.
Really?
Dried elderberries picked on Midsummer's Day are placed on the windowsill to prevent evil from entering. As with Rowan, an elder cross is protective of the house and barn. Make one by binding 2 equal length twigs with red thread.
Oh, yes. I knew that about Rowan, but I didn't know it about elder.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I knew about the red thread and the Rowan tree.
Yeah, and I know there's like when you combine certain number of these magical plants together, it does like, new and better
magical. Go and get some elder twigs and do the same thing. I think, how you said don't burn it. I think that's actually also got a scientific reason because it's toxic.
Oh, interesting.
I think elder wood is toxic to burn.
Okay.
So you would get toxic fumes. You know how there's certain wood that would be toxic to burn, and you would
Yep. So after you make that binding, you can hang it over the door or place it by a window or wear it. The juice of the inner bark is applied to the eyelids to give someone the sight.
Ooh,
take that,
like
Thomas
second
the
sight?
Rhymer. Yeah, I think so.
Ooh.
And then there's even more. Stand or sleep under an elder on Samhain. Did I say that right? Samhain or Beltane Eve, and you will see fairies.
Do we want to see fairies or not?
Heck yeah, we do. What do you mean, do we want to see them?
Well, it depends what fairies we see.
Are you telling me if you had the opportunity to see a fairy, you would turn it down?
I think I have seen fairies.
Now we're talking. Now that's a tangent we're going to have to take. Where?
I saw, in my living room.
Oh, those the sphere ones that you talked about on the ghost episode?
Before you cart me off to the loony bin.
No, I would never.
Well, I know, but my son and my mother, when I can't speak about stuff like this with them because they've got the cart ready. They've got the loony bin cart sitting and waiting outside the house. They're like literally waiting to like shove me in it.
No,
but
I'll save you.
I saw these and it wasn't okay. People are gonna think I'm weird, but it wasn't that I didn't stand up too quickly or anything like that. But out of the corner of my eye, on the sofa, I was standing next to the sofa, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw these super bright lights dancing around, and then when I turned my face, they disappeared.
No way.
I think they were fairies.
I'm sure they were.
There was 3 or 4 of them, and they kind of just, it was definitely not dust getting caught in sunlight or anything like that, because that's obvious that's what it is. But it was like a twinkly light, almost like a Christmas tree light, out of the corner of my eye. And then as soon as I turned around, they went, I'm sure they're fairies.
That sounds like fairy Heidi Colenso emailed us that little tiny wee 2-sentence fairy story. That sounds like hers. I think it was her daughter. I think it was her daughter or her daughter's. I can't remember.
Niece or something. Yeah.
They saw the same kind of twinkly lights, and Ginger was talking about that kind of twinkle experience as well. I 1000% believe you. I'm just jealous.
Maybe I should try it. Do you want me to be the guinea pig? We've got a load of elder trees and woods next to my house. Of course
I do. Yes. 100.
So what are the 2 days I have to choose? Beltane and Samhain.
Yes. Didn't Beltane just pass?
Have I missed it?
Wasn't that in April?
Am I going to have to wait until Halloween then?
Why don't we know when those are? That's really bad.
I'm a rubbish
amateur hour that we are.
Rubbish pagan.
Yeah, we are.
I'm going to Google it.
Well, you can also just wear a sprig anywhere and it'll ward off evil spirits. So that sounds good to me. I mean,
so Beltane is May Day. Shit, we just missed it.
We're the worst.
We missed it by like a month.
We should have had like a special. All right, next time we have one
year.
coming up. We'll have to have. Well, we should mark all of the 4 special things with special episodes. We got to get on it. We've been really busy though.
We'll be more prepared for next year. We'll be probably way more professional as well.
We'll be cackled off the stage by then. Did you know figwort? If you gather it at the incoming tide, you can use it as a charm against the evil eye. Did you know that?
Ooh,
I know.
So is that in case somebody curses you?
I don't know what the evil eye is though. I think
that's a little bit of a curse.
I'm sure it's in here but I'm going to keep on point. Here's about the Hawthorne tree, which is one of those super magical trees,
I love Hawthorne
like
trees.
The rowan and the elder. So it's the totem plant of the Ogilvies, which I don't know what that is either.
The Ogilvies are another family clan.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I figured, but I'm not afraid to say that I don't know something when I don't know.
In fact, I taught a family of Ogilvies.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like the Campbells and their totem plant. So where oak, ash, and thorn grow together, you're likely to see fairies. So you got to keep your eyes peeled when you're out on your walks. Okay. If you see an oak, ash, and a hawthorn tree
in the same place.
Yeah, that's where they tend to gather. A lone hawthorn tree standing on a hill or near a source of water is likely an entrance to the fairy realm and should never be harmed or disturbed. And I feel like that's common knowledge in a lot of parts of Scotland.
That was what we were talking about last week with that tree in Ireland.
In the way of the road, the highway, right? A hawthorn growing by a holy well should never be cut or dishonored, and nothing should be removed from it, including falling wood around it. Hawthorn flowers should never be brought into the house except on Beltane Eve, where they can be placed in front of the door before sunrise.
Oh, why? What happens if you bring them in your house?
I don't know. I'm assuming not good things.
Bad fortune. What about the berries though? Because I've got a whole bunch of them in my freezer. What's going to happen?
All I know is what Ellen tells me. I don't know any extraneous information, unfortunately.
That's not good enough, Karen. I know. What if I've got berries in my freezer and misfortunes?
Well, I wouldn't.
Maybe that was the source of all of my misfortune for the last year.
Well, here's how. If you want to actually if you're looking to touch base with the fairies and seek contact with the fairy realm, you can sleep beneath a solitary hawthorn growing on a hill on Beltane or on Midsummer's Eve. There's a lot going on Midsummer's Eve. Is that July?
No, that is the end of June. So that is not far away. So I think my mission is to find a hawthorn.
Yes.
And sit there on Midsummer's Eve. But maybe I need to take some, I need to prepare for this. I'm not going to go into this blindly. I don't want.
Well, just make your wreath of things.
Yeah, I need some protection. I definitely need to do some stuff for protection. Come armed with all the protection that I possibly might need.
Well, you will grab your book because it tells you all of the different things that you can protect yourself with. So you're in good hands. Ellen will not let you down. Don't even worry about it. Did you know that the Picts used to make their ale from heather, but they just didn't use the hops?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that funny? They don't know what the Picts were saying on all of those stones.
They know what they drank.
But they know what ale they drank. I think that's so funny.
Did they do? Because
how would that even survive? Like how would they know that? Like no source of ale would survive thousands and thousands of years. Wow, how do they know that?
Can they not do archaeology on remnants of poo?
Oh yeah, they probably can, but that not enough to be like this is what they drank 5,000 years ago. Because nothing would be in your poo from ale. Heather wouldn't be in your poo.
You never know, or maybe they
do know. I think they exactly know.
You never know.
It's called science.
But maybe they found in archaeological digs. So here's what I'm guessing. In an archaeological dig, they might have found some kind of earthenware thing with fossilized heather that they could tell that there was like ale made from heather. Let's go with
I'm in. I'm good. And they even have a recipe.
That sounds super yummy. Why do we not do that now? That would taste amazing.
I know, because hops are disgusting, in my opinion. But
I think we need to revive the heather ale.
I know. I think so too.
Actually, I'm saying that, but there is a heather ale that you can buy here.
Well, there's a recipe right in the next sentence. They give you the recipe right for it. This is from Wilma Patterson of the Isle of Skye. You take 1 gallon of heather tops. Oof, that's a lot of heather tops.
Yeah.
You do 2 pounds of malt extract, a pound of honey or 1.5 pounds of sugar, 3 gallons of water, and 1 ounce of yeast. You cut the heather when it first comes into bloom. Simmer 1 gallon of water for about 1 hour. Strain through a jelly bag onto the sweetener and the malt extract. That actually sounds delicious.
That sounds so delicious.
And then you stir until dissolved. Add the remaining water, and when lukewarm, add the yeast. White heather. Oh, that's it. White heather is especially sacred and magical and brings good luck. It grows only on the grave of a fairy or on ground where no blood has ever been shed.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Heather tops should be gathered at dawn for the greatest magical potency. I mean, come on. That is like
I never get up at dawn. That's not happening. I'd have to do an all-nighter.
I'll skip the protection because I am not getting up
far too early. I'm not a morning person.
That's hilarious. That's because you go to bed when I go to bed and you're 5 hours ahead of me. Crazy girl.
But I could do an all-nighter and stay up. I'll just get my friends to stay around till like me and her always stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's so cute.
Last time we were together, we looked out the window or went out the door or something and went, oh my goodness, it's so bright outside. What happened? And then we look at our watches and realize that it was 5 in the morning.
That's the best kind of friend in the whole world, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about mistletoe next, which is super cool because it's still like such a part of our like modern day wintertime festivities, and it's all stems from this kind of, it all goes way back.
It's all about the snogging.
It's sacred to the god of love, Balder. I don't know who that is. Which
love is Balder?
Balder, god of love, Balder. I don't know what that is.
That sounds so funny.
Ellen knows.
I just got this image of like, come on, like we need to know is that a love of bald people,
right?
A bald
lover. Balder. I don't know. We'll have to Google that. Google that while I read the rest because it's so good.
Love Balder.
That's because that's
or something.
That's why it's common to kiss under it at the winter solstice because of this. So we need to know who this love of god of love Balder is. It is placed in the marriage bed to promote fertility. It is one of the most sacred plants of the Druids when found growing on an oak. So keep your eyes peeled for mistletoe growing on oak.
It says, but this might be completely wrong because this isn't Scottish at all, but Balder is the son of Odin and Frigg.
So it has like a Norse.
Yeah.
Like a Norse connection. Interesting. It has the most potent anti-tumor activity. That's really
because
cool.
Do you know what? There are alternative doctors here. That there's an alternative doctor. He's a German guy, and he's well known for giving mistletoe extract to people with cancer and having success with it. Apparently, Balder had a horrible dream that his life was in danger. Frigg demanded an oath from every creature and object in the world that they would not harm Balder. However, she missed out one plant, the mistletoe, because she thought it was small and insignificant. This turned out to be a big mistake. When the gods were having fun shooting arrows at the invincible Balder, things went badly wrong.
Wow.
And then it goes on, but I'm obviously not going to read it because it's too... Right. Yeah, so that's definitely that Balder because it speaks about mistletoe. Cool.
Yeah,
every day's a school day.
I know. Yay. It also says a sprig of mistletoe is cut on, why can't I say this word? It's a suween. I'm going to write that on my computer. I say it again.
I know it's confusing because it's spelled Samhain, like you would say it's Samhain, but it's Samhain.
And they spell it here Samhuinn, which looks like Sam
Hewen. Samhuinn.
Not to be confused with Jamie. That's not what we're talking about here. Or is it? I just can't ever remember that. So you're supposed to cut it on that eve with a new dirk after circumambulating.
I thought you were going to say circumcision.
Oh my God. The tree three times.
So sorry. I've gone downhill. Sorry.
Well, this is one of those.
You can cut that bit out.
I'm not editing anything. You know me. So this is where we go Scottish, right? Because this is like the most random, but also very specific. Okay.
Because we love random and specific at the same time.
And long stories that go on and on. Yeah. So a sprig of mistletoe, it's cut on Eve with a new dirk after circumambulating the tree 3 times diesel, which is very specific. Can you imagine looking out your window and seeing this person holding their dirk up in the air with the sprig, walking around the tree 3 times?
You can imagine. I'm going to do it next Samhain.
Being like, what?
And then take a video for your pleasure.
And then it said, well, if you do, you're good because thus collected, it makes a charm against witchcraft and brings good luck in battle. So you're set.
I'm set for the next fight I have.
It is. It can also be placed in a baron's cradle to prevent abductions by the fairies, but be sure to put it in a place where the baron won't eat it because it's poisonous. There's a lot of shit to put in the poor baby's cradles. There's so many things.
Let's put this poisonous thing in the baby's cradle.
I know. And knives and iron pitchforks. They'll do anything. I know. The poor baby's just sleep in a bed with all this shit in it. You're good though. No fairies. As rolling around and there's scissors in the poor thing's face. But no fairies. Hey.
Oh. Well, they are the most evil of evilness. So
they are. That's true. So oak is a huge one too. Oak is I love this one. This is my favorite little sentence because it says oak is the king of the trees and very sacred to druids. It is revered as a tree that spans the 3 worlds with its roots that go down far as the tree is high, which I never thought about. But then that's such a beautiful.
I love that.
We should do an art piece on that.
Oh,
wouldn't that be beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's
a down
that
tree and then
that article that was doing the rounds a little while ago about how trees have these underground root systems that are actually them communicating with each other, and I just love that.
I do too. It's that same other earthly kind of magic. It attracts lightning, marking it as a tree of the gods. The parasitic, the mistletoe that we just talked about that grows all over oaks makes it equally and even more sacred when they grow together.
Wow.
Women can hug an oak to ensure easy childbirth. Can
I just interrupt and ask, you said it traverses the 3 realms. What are the 3 realms then?
The other worlds, the human worlds, and the godly worlds.
Yeah, okay.
I just made that up.
Okay, it's fine if you made it up. I'm going with it. Let's go with that one. That sounds pretty like it should be.
Yeah, and actually, when I was reading this last night in bed, I was reading the very beginning of it, and it actually says, hang on, this is very relevant to that.
Sorry, can you guys hear that really obnoxious loud music that's outside? I'm really sorry if you can.
No.
Some of my neighbors must have decided to have a party in their garden.
Oh, I hope they're having a garden. Oh, your garden looks beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
I saw the pictures on Facebook. All right, I'm not gonna be able to find this easily, so I'm gonna but it was remind me. It was about the whole theory of like fairies as fallen angels that we touched upon last time.
Yes.
And I want to revisit that, and I will make sure to like mark my book and we can talk about that again.
Yeah, I think that could easily be a week's topic.
Yeah, for sure.
The origins of fairies and where they came from.
Yeah, yes. So if you would like to see fairies, you can also, if you have to say this, Lucy, when you are at an oak tree, you have to say by oak and ash and thorn, and then you're going to see fairies. So just so you know.
Do you know, that's really interesting because I'm actually in a group on Facebook that is, I was invited into this group by an artist friend of mine who we've already spoken about, Julia Jeffrey, the one that did the Isabel Gaudi paintings.
Yes.
And because she is part of a little group of artists who are going to do some stuff together. And so I'm just part of the group because I want to see their wonderful artwork.
Yeah.
And the group is called Oak, Ash and Thorn.
Oh.
Yeah, because all their artwork is to do with like kind of Celtic, mystical, and
awesome
witchy,
stuff.
Awesome stuff. Yeah,
that's amazing. So Rowan, is it Rowan or Rowan? How am I saying that?
I don't think it matters. Okay. I say Rowan. I actually don't.
I feel like I've heard both. This is another hugely potent.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite ones.
It's according to Ellen, the most ubiquitous magical plant of the Highlands. Every house once strove to have a rowan tree nearby. Twigs, wreaths, and crosses of rowan were placed in the home and barn as protective charms, and furniture, cradles, boats, tools, carts, and houses were made of rowan wood to bring luck and protection from evil sorcery. It was like a big deal. And there's a sweet little traditional poem that she lists that says, the hags came back finding their charms most powerfully withstood, for warlocks witches cannot work where there is rowan tree wood. So it's like everybody that. I know, right? Rowan tree twigs.
There is literally a whole line of them on the pathway outside my house.
That's why
obviously planted by the council, so they knew that there was protective charms maybe needing to be placed, and they're along the pavement, which is your sidewalk.
Yes, we say pavement too.
Do you?
Yeah,
really? I thought you only called it sidewalk.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a pavement, but sidewalks are generally can be made of pavement, so it's makes sense.
Oh, okay. So along our pavement, there is a whole heap.
Like our corridor.
along my outside corridor.
The little road that goes onto the big road. The little one.
Outside corridor. The nature corridor. Along the nature corridor. Yes. Along nature's corridor, I'm going to call.
Although it's made of pavement. It is not. That is not very natural. But okay.
But there's a rowan tree every couple of meters. Yeah,
that's so cool. That's super cool.
They're my favorite. I love the way that their leaves change color in autumn and go from green all the way through to, red, brown, orange, yellow, and you get all the different colors. And I love the shape of the leaves.
I don't think we have them here at all. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think that we do. There's actually really cool a few more cool factoids about this magical tree. It's supposed to be the berries are supposed to be the food of the Tuatha De Danann, the fairies of the Irish fairies that everybody knows and loves, which is why they're often seen near stone cairns and circles in Scotland. But I thought the Tuatha De Danann are only in Ireland. I thought that's like an Irish. Oh, but then she's just saying, I think basically she's saying that the rowan berries are enjoyed by classical like Celtic fairies, I think is what she's saying. Rowan wood was once used to make the crossbeam in the chimney called the Ran tree, which is short for rowan tree. The churn staves, the distaff of the loom, the pin of the plow, the parts of the watermill were all made from rowan to bring magical aid and protection. Rowan was planted near the house door and trained to grow in an arch over or an arc over the barn door or the farm gate to keep evil from entering. People were obsessed. At the fire festivals, a rowan wand was placed on all of the door lintels and a piece in every pocket. Rowan wood was used to build the ritual fires upon which bannocks were baked on holy days. Coffins were made of rowan wood to prevent the dead from returning to haunt the living. Make a wooden knife or a thame, I don't know what that is, of rowan wood to use in your rites and ceremonies. It will protect your circle from all harm. Why use a metal knife when the fairies despise iron? Why use
a metal knife when you can just beat people with the stick of a rowan?
Right. Oh, I don't understand. Why did she say that at the end? Why use a metal knife when the fairies despise iron? Iron is metal. I don't understand what she's saying there.
Yeah, that's a little bit contradictory.
It's weird. Mm-hmm. Well, taking off that last sentence, it will protect your circle from all harm. So clearly people were like hanging on to this tree for dear life. I wonder what it was about it that they thought that in particular was what was like saving them and being so powerful against so many evil things. That's fascinating. I know.
I do wonder where those things come from, where that one is chosen over a different tree.
Yeah, I mean, and like forcefully so, to the point where they're like, know
something that we don't. That.
I know something must have happened. That's what I mean. It's like probably one of those things where like there was some crazy fire and everything burned down except randomly some rowan tree, and they're like, that one has magical powers. Tell everyone, and then like poof, it like passes down through oral tradition, and like lo and behold, I mean, that's obviously making that up, but I really want to know, like, what is it? Something must have happened.
Something must have happened.
That's my sister.
Or it's all true, Karen.
But what started it? I want to know the origin story of these magical plants.
What do you mean? What started it? The fairies came from the other world and they met somebody in a grove next to the Hawthorne Tree, and then they showed them the rowan tree and they said, this one is magic. And
so you think the fairies are the ones that educated the humans about the magical powers of these plants? Because
go for it.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. And I'm not ashamed to admit
and I didn't even make that up just now. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, I think it's funny that some like these are all, they're supposed to be magical plants surrounded by lore, but they're all these are all humans that are saying these things all. You know what I mean? They're
How do you know it's the humans that are saying it?
Because that's what these are all used by humans.
I know, but
it's like
maybe somebody went
fairies.
off into the fairy world for their 7 years and they came back with all this knowledge. Just let me.
You go, girl.
I like living in this little weird dream world.
I am right there with you, sister.
I know.
Do you know the true story? The true story why the thistle is Scotland's national flower. Do you know why? Have you heard the story?
To see that I haven't got a clue.
You really? No way.
I really haven't got a clue.
Oh, you're going to love it. It's super short.
I want to hear.
It's really funny. It's like number 10,081. Why I love Scotland.
Because it's all spiky.
It's like a funny story.
Come on then.
Okay. It's awesome. So the flower of Scotland, the thistle is what I'm talking about. It was adopted.
I thought you were going to sing me the song there for a minute.
Oh, I would. If I knew it, I would totally sing it. As the national symbol after the Battle of Carrick, a Danish invader had attempted to make a surprise attack on a Scottish clan, but he stepped barefoot on a thistle and his howls of pain foiled the attack. The thistle symbolizes strength and tenacity through adversity, thriving in the wild, damp landscape of Scotland. And that's why it's your freaking flower.
I love that.
Because some guy stepped barefoot on a thistle and was like, ow! And then they ruined their plan. Like, fast forward 1,000 years. Isn't that hilarious?
When is this set in? Like,
I first read that in like I don't know. I was in Scotland.
Is it set in like the 1100s or something?
It doesn't say the year, but it was a good long time ago. How's that? No, it was long.
Like the medieval version of Lego.
Yes. Isn't that hilarious? Like, ouch, my foot. And then now it's your national anthem.
That's amazing.
Isn't that so funny?
I know.
It's like the unicorn being your like national animal. It's like everything is like quirky and super cool. I love it all.
That's because we're quirky and super cool.
That's why I love you so much. I'm trying to wrap this up. I think
I love you, even though you're a Campbell.
But I'm not. I just married one, remember? So I'm still good. Well, you know about shamrocks. Where they are plentiful, there is sure to be fairy activity in the area.
Mm-hmm. I thought is that more Irish?
And we just finished. That was a ton. Well, this is Scottish herbs and fairy lore, so you must have them in Scotland as well.
We must have them in Scotland.
Sure
there's a lot of crossover as well. Yeah,
you guys are only 10 miles apart. That's like basically nothing.
But also there's the tribe. There was a tribe from Ireland that came over to Scotland and moved on up and mixed in. A lot of
mixing and mashing. You know what I thought was super cool from reading that volume 1 of the Scottish Peculiar History book was that like very first settlers in Scotland were from Spain. I'm talking way, way back. And I was like, what? That's a fun fact. I know.
What?
Yeah.
I knew there was a reason why I loved Spain.
Read that.
Spain.
Isn't that super cool? I mean, I'm talking like the first people. So
wow.
I know. Before the Vikings, before the Romans, before the Picts, Spain.
Were they from the northwest of Spain?
Yes. Do they have redheads there too? Yeah, is it?
That's another Celtic part of the world. So there's Celts in.
But Celts is like a language.
Wales, yeah. Right. Wales, Brittany, I think. That northwestern part of Spain.
And Cornwall, the Isle of Man, which they call Manx. I want to move there so I can call myself a Manx. I just think that makes you sound instantly badass.
Little Manx,
you little Manx. I want to be a Manx.
But there's the people in the northwestern coast of Spain actually have a slightly different language to Spanish.
What's Celtic. That area? Oh, is it? What's that area?
Yeah, in Galicia.
Oh, I've never heard of that. It's a pretty little town.
Oh, it's so beautiful up there.
Let's go there. I've never been to Spain. I was on a train going to Spain. I thought I was going to Spain. The train never went there.
Went to Portugal by mistake.
And then when we got off, we were like, what happened to Spain? And then we realized, complet means full.
What happened to
Spain? Went on a different train. So we went to Avignon, France instead, which was so amazing and beautiful. But like, I just remember traveling like that, like just traveling around in the world and like hopping on random trains, thinking you're going in one place, ending up in another, and then just being like, okay. And like hopping off, like, let's go grab a baguette and another bottle of wine. Let's go and have some cheese. Like, so yeah, I never quite made it, but I did try. And I do need to go.
I love Spain. I know we're totally going off topic.
Is that when you were in a bus and you were sick?
If anybody has this image of Spain as being Benidorm type high-rise beach holiday cheesiness.
That's not what I think of.
Well, but there's a lot of coastal Spain that's like that. That's been completely ruined by the Brits because that's not what Spain's about. And Spain is beautiful. Yeah. If you ever, hey girl, when you come here, we could take a road trip to Spain.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Because
go anywhere.
we could just like hop on a train
But really go there that time.
Really go there
maybe actually go. I tried.
Not get too drunk and get off at the wrong stop and end up in the bad part of town.
No, I'm not sorry. I wound up in Avignon.
And I end up like needing the police to intervene for you so you don't get shot at. But yeah, we could go to Granada. Is the most amazing place ever. It's so amazing.
Do you know any Spanish?
My Spanish is pretty non-existent now because it was like 20 years ago that I lived there. So, and I only really knew enough to buy things in the market and cafes and stuff. But
I know nothing.
I can say dos cervezas, por favor.
Oh yeah, 2 beers, please. I can say that too. That's about it. Yes.
Muy bien, muy bien.
That's good. What are you doing next time? What are you doing?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, you're not?
No, I want a surprise.
Okay. That's the best.
I want to build up a little bit of anticipation.
You did. Thank you for putting
But
up
I
with
can
me.
tell you now that I've already started researching it and it is super cool.
Oh my God. I bet.
Super cool and spooky.
Oh, good.
It's a spooky, super cool mystery that to this day is still not solved. And that is the teaser that I'm giving you. And you are gonna
be super excited.
You're just never gonna believe when you hear.
Well, this is gonna go. We got to figure out when to film or whatever, record because I got to go on some vacay. So it'll be launched.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of your.
Because we're going to Vegas, even though half of it's still closed because of COVID, but whatever.
I know, but you're gonna have buffet food, and that's the best.
No, the Wynn has the best buffet. It's not open. Oh no, wait. I think I don't want to say dates.
Actually, how do you do buffet food with COVID? Because you can't have like 50 million people lifting up like the serving spoon.
Well, I think if you put the serving spoon onto your plate, and then I don't know, we'll just all get COVID, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still jealous of the buffet food. You're gonna just don't come back like 5 stone.
I like how you say buffet. I would do. The buffet food. I'm gonna start saying that. Can we go to the buffet? The buffet food.
Is that what you call it?
The buffet.
The buffet.
The buffet. But I like buffet food better. It sounds cool. I want some buffet food. Give me the buffet. I want the food from the buffet. Sounds like a completely different thing.
It sounds a lot more hardcore, which is
really
what we are in Scotland.
It sounds like what was the word from last time? The Durkin, the dirt. What was that word? You don't remember?
The
dirt. You were like, that's a. You kept saying it like 3 times. It was
Dunter.
Yes!
Dunter.
Let's go meet the Dunter to get some the buffet food.
I'll give you a glass
Dunter.
You Dunter.
Get your Dunter and meet me at the buffet. I can't even say it. The buffet food. Buffet? No.
The buffet.
The buffet.
Buffet.
The food of the buffet.
Do you know there's probably some Scottish people that do call it a buffet?
Really? No, they don't
know.
The French is much
Farmer Jim.
To you.
Farmer Jim probably calls it a buffet.
He's a dunker.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we should wrap this up.
That was amazing, Karen. I learned so much. I am gonna go armed into the woods.
And I really cannot highly enough recommend this book because that's like 1% of the cool stuff that she talks about. It is really cool. I'm going to say it again. Scottish Herbs and Fairy Lore by Ellen Hopman, Amazon. It's like the best. It's the best of all the best books. It's really
I am
good.
going to get myself some red thread.
Yes.
And
protective
go out and get some rowan.
Okay.
And make all the protective stuff for my house so that no fairies can come inside.
Can you do me a favor? Can you send me a picture of some of the rowan leaves and stuff so we can put it on the blog and on Instagram? Because we don't have that.
Do you not have rowan trees?
I don't think we do. Wait, I need to Google that really quick before we go because I
love them. They're so beautiful.
Oh, and if anybody is into art and they want to join our Celtic Collective, we opened the supply classroom for free today at awesomeartschool.com. If you like watercolors and drawings, you need to come hang out with me and Lucy.
It's so exciting. We're going to do all the
We're doing all the things we're talking about, but we're doing an art form. Do rowan trees grow in the U.S.? Quick Google search.
According to garden guides, the flowering dogwood, or Cornus florida, grows across most of the United States and in the milder regions of southern
That's not rowan, is it?
I don't think so.
What? Listen, Google
Siri.
Boys. Shush. Oh, it thought I said do flowering trees. Did I stutter, Siri? Come on.
Maybe Siri doesn't recognize the word rowan.
Because they don't. Oh, here we go. How to grow one. Oh, it's also called a mountain ash. Oh, it's the most widely planted ash tree in
North Carolina.
Well, it doesn't say. It says it will grow well in the US is all of that it says. But they grows naturally wild throughout Northern Europe. But I don't know. It didn't really answer my question.
I bet it's all over the place. You just don't know because you don't go into the woods because of all the spiders and
seriously. I think it is. It says it's definitely naturalized in it's native to Europe, Western Asia, and Siberia, and it's been naturalized in North America and being cultivated since colonial times. So it's here somewhere. Yeah. I just didn't know.
Well, go out and get your own photos. Just dodge.
I love it. Go out and get your own photos. Then,
just dodge the. Like whatever spider that was. What was it called again?
Oh, the Black Widow.
Black Widow. I nearly called it Hairy Widow.
What? They call it a mountain ash tree here. That's weird. Why did they change its name?
I don't know.
The heck? Yeah. They call it.
Sounds a bit like Mountain Dew.
Mountain ash. It's much less sexy. I wonder if they call it that if it loses its. Do you think it loses its power when it goes across the pond?
Definitely.
Oh, that's not nice. What the heck?
You're not the only one that can be sassy tonight.
I know. I had that coming for sure. And under that is, do birds eat Cheerios? That's what comes up after that.
Really?
About Rowan. That's really deep. That's great. All right. I think that's a wrap for this week.
I think that's a good place to
end. On that note, if anyone is
we're going to leave you wondering forever and ever and ever whether birds eat Cheerios.
That's the culmination of this.
Amazing. Did you know that the word Cheerio is a very Scottish word for goodbye?
Okay. And did you know that 2 years ago at Goodwill for $1 was the best pair of red sweatpants that I've ever bought in my whole life? And down the left-hand side in gigantic white block letters, it says Cheerio.
That's amazing. I need those in my life.
They are my favorite things in the whole world. And every winter I like sport them and I come down the stairs and I'm like, Cheerio. And I just put my left leg out and my whole family's like, what in the actual hell? They were $1. $1.
I'm so jealous.
You should be. They are amazing. So Cheerio. I feel very official when I wear them. Yeah. All right. And then on that note, we really are leaving. We'll see you next week. Okay. Bye.